Just a little bit about Davis Wright. We're a full-service law firm providing a full range of services to companies throughout their whole life cycle, from incorporation and formation matters through mergers and acquisitions and investment transactions, venture capital financings, etc., representing entrepreneurs, companies, as well as angel venture capital and other strategic investors. We also provide services in other areas such as intellectual property, employment, tax, litigation. So with that, I'll hand it over to Sarah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you to Davis Wright for me. They definitely have provided some great legal services. So, how many of you, this is your first time at a Seattle Entrepreneurs event? Oh, well.
Welcome.
So, welcome. So I also want to find out what stage of development each of you guys are in your business. How many of you guys are in the idea stage? Okay. How about funding? Growth? Okay. Great. Also, I wanted to go through a few housekeeping items. As you guys know, there's pizza and drinks. You're welcome to come at any time and get them. The bathrooms, the men's restroom is just right out the doors to the right, near the exit, and then the women's are just past. Yeah, go past the elevators, and they're to the right next to the fountain. The elevators will close at 7 o'clock. So if you leave, then you cannot come back up. So just a little something. What some of you may or may not realize is that all of your tickets are tax deductible. All proceeds from tonight's event go to Global Music Project. So just a little bit about Global Music Project. They provide instruments to kids and adults who cannot afford them around the world. We also do charity events and work with other charities to raise money for them as well. Visit globalmusicproject.org. So my name is Kara Winrick, and I'm the program director for Seattle Entrepreneurs. Those of you who have been here in the past probably have met Peter Faso. Peter has moved to Stockholm. So I am going to be managing the local Seattle Entrepreneurs going forward, but I'm working with Peter too. Our event will be meeting the second Wednesday of every month, and normally at Davis Wright and Choi. They will be moving offices, so it will be moving to 5th and Madison. We recently did a survey, and we sent it out to the members asking you what it is that you would like to see. And we did this because this meetup's all about you guys. We want to make this so that you guys can be successful as entrepreneurs. So we want to have our events reflect your needs. So after this event, I'm also going to send out a survey to you guys to see what you guys thought of the event, what you recommend as changes, etc. Because we do want to shape this going forward so it meets your needs. This is also about connecting people. So you will see going forward that our panelists are venture capitalists, angel investors, they're entrepreneurs, they're business coaches, etc. So you will see a diverse group. A little bit about me. I moved to Seattle in March. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, but I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. I am an entrepreneur, and I'm also a nonprofit consultant. I specialize in fundraising, strategic planning, board development, and events. My previous life was for 15 years. Starting when I was 18, I worked with musicians, so big difference. I did public relations, booking tours, national and local, put on music events, and managed a few bands, whether they be touring bands or local bands. It was my own company, so that time. I also have a background in finance, fundraising, and business management. I moved to the nonprofit field because I wanted to make a difference, and that's also why I got involved with Seattle Entrepreneurs. Is because I wanted to make a difference in the entrepreneur community. Because when I first started my business, I actually had a mentor, but not everybody does, and it can be really hard to navigate. So I actually got involved with Seattle entrepreneurs through Peter and the Global Music Project, and I said I would love to work more with the Seattle entrepreneur end of it with him as well. The format, just so you guys have an idea of the format of the event tonight, we're going to have a panel here, and then followed by a workshop where we're going to do a little bit of a pitch. You're going to like practice the pitch so you know how to network and meet people, what to say. And then we're going to have open networking. You can stay, you can go, whatever. All right. So I'm going to introduce our panel. Actually, I'm going to have our panelists tell us a little bit about them rather than introducing them. Okay. So we'll start with Vlad.
Good. First the worst, they say, right? Some attention out. So my name is Vlad. I run an SEO agency and build my own software tools internally for the agency. I run 5 different meetups for Atlas Workbase. Started my first startup at 19. 8 years of failure later, here I am pushing it forward, so to speak. It's still in the game. There you go. Keep it simple. Troublemaker.
Hi, can you hear me? Oh, you can hear me. I'm Anna Choi, and I'm a business coach. So I help conscious entrepreneurs attract more clients to grow their company and scale sustainably. And we do that through an 8-week online accelerator for conscious entrepreneurs that focuses on a system I've developed called Energy System. So anyway, I'm excited to be here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erin Ewert. My business is called Careers for Social Impact. So I'm a career coach for professionals who want to be doing work that has a positive social impact, regardless of sector. Had my business for about 4.5 years. Started it when I moved out here to Seattle from the East Coast. I'm excited to share some networking tips and best practices.
And Erin hosts a networking event quarterly.
I do.
For social impact.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
Nice.
And then I want to mention that Anna is actually part of the Seattle Social Enterprise Alliance.
Yes, I'm chair of the Social Enterprise Alliance, Washington State, and all the advisory board for the Olympic College Social Entrepreneurship Program. And also, it's okay, wrote it all out. And then also appointed by the commissioner for in Polsbo. I live in Kitsap, so I commuted over from Polsbo, and we're transforming media there. So for the Bremerton Kitsap Access Television Station, helping provide programming there.
And Vlad is, runs Co-Founders Connect as well as involved in Young Professionals of Seattle and some other.
Yeah. So yeah, I just help promote professionals. I team up with other organizations and help promote events. Yeah, one of the 5 meetups I run is Co-Founders Connect. Connect co-founders to the resources they need in the community.
So the way the panel will work is that I'm going to ask a series of questions. Originally, we're going to kind of see how it goes, go flow. But I also have up here, and I will move it around as needed, a microphone. So if you have questions, please do raise your hand and we'll give you the microphone. Great. So what are some of the ways that you have met and networked with people?
I go first, I think.
Right ahead.
All sorts of ways. In traffic, literally. Just saw a guy on a motorcycle say hi. At events, neighbors, everywhere you can meet a person, I've met people, dating apps, right? Got a referral from that one, which is fantastic. $4 million construction company. I'm not complaining.
And I know you take sometimes your entrepreneurs out on your boat.
Oh, sorry. not like that. I don't have so it's a timeshare. It was a company expense. We thought it was a good idea to get a speedboat membership. It was the dumbest business decision, funnest personal decision I ever made. I was buying a company speedboat, and we'll cancel it in like 60 days.
Oh, okay.
So because, I got time from it, but if you do your math, right, it's all about like the ROI at the end of the day, right? The metrics that you get from it, and I will make an ROI if my client stays with me for 5 years and I never spend another dollar. But yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and whatever it takes to win. Go ahead.
I know, like, what's not networking, right? So I would say definitely there's the associations. How I like to do it is I like to look at my vision and where I'm headed in the future. So I'm wanting to create like a new normal economy based on the quadruple bottom line of people, planet, profit, and presence. So then I look at all of the associations that match that vision. And then I get involved and build relationships long term. And I don't just go to one thing, I stick long term with those associations, so like the Impact Hub, Social Enterprise Alliance, etc., even for years, and just build relationships and eventually, you know, you build your brand that way, but also higher level relationships because people know you're gonna stick around and you're not just, you know, flying by the seat of your pants. So it's kind of simple and basic, but I think the key there is to know your own direction and vision for your, not just your business, but your life. And that will indicate to you what groups make the most sense. So some of my favorites also, like Business Among Moms, they aren't necessarily like, they actually are conscious entrepreneurs, but you also want to look at where your market is as a business owner. So if you're going to be working for plumbers or electricians, you would go to the Builders Association, right? But you want to not just go to the chamber, not dissing on the chamber, but the chamber's like vast and huge and random. So you want to find the most, where's the watering hole basically of your market, and then go there and authentically network. Long term, long game.
Yeah, I always tell my clients it's a blend of being strategic and opportunistic, right? Which I think is kind of what each of you said. There's this strategic element, like Anna's talking about, of really thinking about your market and your niche and, you know, where are my people and where do I need to be? For me, that's evolved as my business has evolved. So when I started, you know, I kind of worked with everybody because I wasn't sure yet who I wanted to work with. And then as I got much more targeted around who my clients were going to be, that really shifted, you know, the events I went to, you know, the organizations I participated in, the marketing that I did and the networking that I did. But I think there's also this element, like you were speaking to, Vlad, of like, you meet people all over the place and you never know who could potentially be helpful to you. So I've gotten business through, you know, friends of friends, through, you know, random connections that I've made. So I think that element of just the kind of opportunistic and letting everybody know what you're doing, even if they may not be your target client themselves, they may very well know people who are and be able to help spread the message and spread the word for you. So I think it's balancing those two things. I've had clients get jobs like through someone they met at jury duty. I mean, just like the most random places, but it's because they were talking about themselves and what they wanted, and they were able to make those kinds of connections.
Do you find, like when you're having conversations with people, do you ever find that some of the best networking or leads come from when you're able to offer something to people that you find out, or you're able to help them, and then it's vice versa, for people to help you?
Yes.
I'm asking the three. Well, I'm starting with Erin.
Yeah. I'll jump in. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think the best networking is always mutual, right? Like there's always some kind of reciprocity or some benefit. Ideally, you can offer something to them, they can offer something to you. It doesn't always happen at the same time, I think, though, right? Like there might, you know, you might be asking them for something and then, you know, 6 months down the line or 2 months down the line, 2 years down the line, you can offer something in return. So it doesn't always have to be at that exact same time. But I think always being aware of that and listening for those opportunities, you know, even if they don't say them directly, listening for like what might they need and how can I help, either be a connector or, you know, offer them something that would be of value, because ultimately it's about building a relationship, and that's based on mutual value and trust that comes from those kind of interactions.
Yeah, it's definitely what gets, you don't want to enter it quid pro quo anytime you're like, well, what are you going to give me if I give you something? But so there's the timing of it. It could be reciprocity later, but sometimes not, because values exchange in so many different ways, not just with a trade or an exchange or money. It definitely can be with a connection. It definitely can be with an idea that like finally bridges together the idea you've always been waiting for. So I have like this, I believe there's like different ways people contribute, and there's 6 like primary ways. So people, there's natural connectors who just know everybody, but not everybody is. Some people are super shy. You can't turn them into connector even if you wanted to. They never will be. But they're great supporters, or they're great champions, or they could be great masterminders. So there's different ways people contribute, and if you can tap intuitively and understand how someone wants to contribute, then that's how an exchange can build a relationship.
Oh boy, what a great question. So there's actually a book that I love. It's my favorite book to give people, and I was trying to steal a copy today from my house, but didn't get a chance. But I would recommend all of you guys read this book. It's called Give and Take by Adam Grant. And it actually, you know the book. See, there you go. Look at that.
Another endorsement.
Right? Yeah. So, you know, it talks about the most well-connected person in Silicon Valley named Adam Grant, right? He's connected to the most CEOs. He's not a CEO himself, although he co-founded Starbucks. He's not a VP. A venture capitalist actually recommended I read this book because co-founders connect, and he was like, you'll recognize, you know, like you should like this guy. And it talks about 3 types of people: givers, takers, and matchers, right? Right? If you're talking to someone, they might talk about themselves, and this is what I want. I want this. Can you connect me to this guy, right? And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm dealing with this, you know, fill in the blank. You guys are all creative audience, you know, and you know, this person's just a leech, right? Or on the flip side, it might be a really giving person, you know, right? Maybe a family member or a friend, and you always see them getting burned because they're always helping others, which actually used to be me. And then there's a matcher, and this is the quid pro quo person, right? Where they're like, I gave them a connection a month ago. Where's my feedback? I'm glad, you know, you told me this networking stuff's gonna work out. So, right? So who does the best out of these 3? So the worst performers are actually the givers in the book, and then they'll also tell you, and you know, you gotta read the whole book to really get the full context, that the takers and the matchers are in the middle, and the givers are also the best performers at the same time. Now, how does that work, right? Because the givers who learn to strategically give and not get burned out by doing it, love, you know, if you look at their network, it's like they're like the sun, and like they're just constantly helping people, but they don't get burned out themselves. And that's how they build these great networks. And that's really what I strive to do. You know, just not to steal her questions, but just quick exercise, right? I'm sure you guys came to this event. You want to be all great networkers, right? Who here connected 2 people today that didn't benefit them directly? Raise their hand. 1 person? Okay.
I did yesterday.
Fantastic, right? Who here connected 2 people today that didn't connect them directly? Right? These 2 guys, fantastic. 3 people. So I connected 4 people today that is probably not going to directly benefit me in any way, right? And I think that's really the simple game, right? And the people who haven't connected anybody today, right? Don't ask me why you're not great at networking, right? It's because you're not doing it. But we can get back to the questions.
I want to add one more thing too, because you want to just be like a good listener. I think that's the source of it, because there's also like the hyper connectors. I'm not saying this is what you're saying,
Sure.
but the people who are so wanting just to connect, but they're crappy connections. So it makes waste everybody's time. Have you guys ever experienced that, where someone's like, oh, let me talk to you should talk to this person, and you go talk to them, and you're like, why are they connecting us? Like, we don't actually have anything to talk about. Have you guys dealt with that? Yes. So that was just a malfunction of listening to what somebody actually wants. Like, maybe they don't want a connection. Maybe sometimes they just need someone to listen, and that is so memorable and a value that they come back later to you, like even a year later.
I agree.
I saw a question.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, it's a simple question. I think you referred to this meeting connection, right? So can you quantify, like, what is the connection? Because, right, like me saying a hi to stranger, it could be construed as a connection versus exchanging business cards to LinkedIn profile, right? So yes, maybe I missed it.
I think he was talking about connecting 2 people.
Sure.
Right?
So what
2
I
new
mean,
people, yeah.
what I mean is, like, you know, I'll meet someone, let's say Alan today, right? And Alan will tell me, you know, or Derek, who's sitting right over there, right? And Derek will be like, hey, Vlad, I'll be like, who are you looking for, right? Who could I introduce you that would be helpful, right, in the conversation? And they'll be like, oh, this type of person. And I'll be like, well, I've got Sally here. And I'll go to Sally and I'll be like, hey, Sally, this is Derek, right? Here's his pitch. you already connected to them? And then Sally says yes, and Derek says yes, and that happens, right? That's
Okay, so more of an introduction to between two.
That's introducing. That's in my book. That's connecting. A LinkedIn ping is not.
Okay.
Yeah, not really my ideal way.
So one thing on that, like that I think is key is getting permission from both people, right? So I deal with this a lot where like sometimes you'll get these like spontaneous introductions in your email and you're like, who is that? Why am I getting introduced to this person? Who is it, right? So doing it in a thoughtful way and getting, both people to opt in and say, yes, I want to be introduced, and then making the connection just makes it so much more valuable. So keep that in mind as well.
And not just permission, but then sharing why you think it's a good connection, because sometimes people will opt out at that point. Like, I'm just too busy to deal with that particular level of connecting.
Yeah, that's why I cap it at maybe 3 or 4, right? Because if you do 3 or 4 connections, right, like just it takes time, right, to build a reputation, etc. Right? After 3 months, 4 months, like you'll really start to see it pay off. But you need to, if you keep score, then you're going to focus on keeping score and not driving value. And you want to be the person who's giving value versus the person that's like, keeping score. And keeping score is not a great skill set. Yeah. And then, sorry. Well, the other thing about that is spontaneously introducing people. Sometimes I do that, but only if I really know the person. Like one of my really good friends, Justin, I know him very well. I can just introduce people like that, right? But if you're going higher up the value chain, and I'm unfamiliar with the person, like if one of you wants me to introduce you to the CTO of Madrona, right? I'm gonna have to email him and get the double opt-in, or a VC or whoever.
And where do you think are some of the best ways to meet those connectors and to know that they're actually good connectors and they're going to be good connections for you?
I can sure answer. So it's usually obvious if they're a connector because everybody knows them.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a reputation already, and they're far and few between. Like I would say, I'm throwing this number out there, but like 5% of people, 10% are good connectors. So it's, again, you don't need to make everybody a connector or find the connector, but if it's not obvious, it's not that they couldn't be of value or couldn't connect you, but you just need to find out. I just feel like intuitively in a conversation, you'll kind of get if they're listening and how they introduce you, you can tell if they're a good connector. Like how people introduce you. They're just like, Sarah Studer's like, I always say, is the best person. She'll put 2 people together, but she makes them sound so much better to both sides, and then you're so excited to meet. And she like knows everybody because she's involved in so many different organizations and has a long sort of track record.
Yeah, I think it's people who are very involved, right? You'll see that they're very active, they're very involved in a lot of organizations. Their names come up again and again, right? So as you're doing your research and as you're talking to people, you keep hearing about the same people over and over again. That's a good indicator. So just like keeping your antenna up for those kinds of things. Often they are, out there as kind of thought leaders, so they might be speaking at events, or they're publishing, or they're, putting content out there. So you can kind of look out for those things too to see who those people are and really try to get on their radar, or again, try to get to know them and have access potentially to their larger networks, because they are rare, but they're
small, like they're small communities.
Yeah.
So it starts to repeat real fast. Within a couple of years, really.
And I agree with both my panelists on stage. You can see, if somebody's running an event, right? I mean, there's givens, right? If someone has a high net worth, if they are an event organizer themselves, right? If they're a president of some company, they're usually very well connected, right? On the flip side of that, I would say, if you want to be connected to awesome people, the easiest thing is obviously, go to Bill Gates, right? And he'll connect you to whoever, right? But we can't all do that, right? So then the question becomes, right, who can actually connect you to valuable people? And I would say, like, Cara was at an event of mine, right? And I made a good impression because she asked me to speak here today. I wasn't like quantifying her value. I didn't even know you actually had this going on. Sorry, because I'm probably the dumbest one up here. But basically, I don't try to quantify people and what I can get in exchange. I think at that level, you're putting a number on humans. I don't know who here wants to be treated like a number, right? But I know I don't, right? So like my mom, for example, introduced me to the CEO of her company, and they're a very big company that we all use, right? And I'm just gonna not, I'm not gonna like throw names out, but I call myself doing that. But basically, I wouldn't be like, oh, my mom is the greatest entrepreneur, but she works for like a Fortune 500. She introduced me to the CEO. He got a 30-minute meeting, right? Right now, does that mean all you guys should go talk to your relatives, right? No, but I would say the best connectors are people who really truly kind of care about you and want to connect you. And then eventually, if you're a good person, I think people want to help you.
I also think like the undiscovered connectors are just folks that whatever niche you have in your market, there's going to be like the main players who could be silent. Like they may not even, I don't know if I'd call them a connector, but they're people who have been in the industry, they're committed. You may mean by main players in the space. You just figure out in your niche who are the main players. And I guess in this forum, we could call them connectors. I think they could just be a resource, is a better word. And just by virtue of building relationships with the main players as resources, it'll pay off and you'll get connections from that.
Do you think having a mentor is a good way to increase your network, or what's your thoughts on having mentors?
So if you guys check out Co-Founders Connect, it says on the Meetup, it says Seattle Mentoring and Networking, right? And the reason I started that at like 22 is because I was like, man, I need mentors, in the community. And ironically, right, when I was doing like my first, trying to validate my first concepts or whatever, right, and I was cold calling, right, like I was pitching the hell out of this guy. I was like, you don't want my product? What do you mean? It's the greatest product. And I was chasing and chasing and chasing. This kind of goes back to the last question, I guess, right? The more you chase, the more desperate it looks, right, and less attractive it looks, right? So to get mentors, right, or great connection, I would try to attract, right? And the way you do that is positioning it is to offer value. So if you want good mentors, if you want to build a great network, you try to offer value to people, and they'll start coming. And yeah, mentors to me personally, actually, like my mentors that are really successful, I don't ever ask them for anything except advice.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking too, is that yes, they can be helpful for networking, but they don't have to be. And I think that kind of goes to what Anna was saying earlier about different people can offer you different things. And personally, my mentors have been much more helpful in helping me think about my business and some of the different aspects of that versus actually making connections for me. That's just been, I've kind of kept those worlds a little bit separate.
Yeah.
Not to say that a mentor, of course a mentor can help you make connections and grow your network, but I think it's, you want to, again, be strategic about and thoughtful about what is this person, best at, or what do I want to ask of them so that you're not placing too much on any one person.
Yeah, I agree with both. And I've never used a mentor network. They've always strictly been in the advisory capacity. I would stick to connectors for connecting.
This might be a little bit of a dumb question, but I've never naturally happened upon a strong mentorship. I've tried to force them at times; they just don't happen organically. How did you come across your strong mentors?
Sure. The one that I'm thinking of is somebody who is in a similar business to me that I reached out to cold when I moved to town, and I said, I'm trying to start this business. I admire what you do. I'd love to meet with you. And she got back to me, and we've developed a great relationship, a great collaboration. She sends me business. I send her business now that my business has grown, and it's just been fantastic. But it really just resulted from me doing that research and reaching out and asking.
I'm wondering what mentor means. Do you pay for them or not? Right? Normally, you would think you don't. So I've had those relationships that maybe through personal life stuff, I'm like, oh, you're like me. You want to pick someone that's kind of farther ahead from where you want to be, and you just reach out. Hey, can you have a weekly call with me to help support me on XYZ, or quarterly meetups if they aren't available. You did it cold. I've never gone in cold. There's been some sort of relatedness already. Otherwise, I've hired tons of coaches myself, tons. So I consider them all mentors, and they're very because you paid them. They're very invested and they hold you accountable. I find the paying kind, or specifically hiring coaches, is the most rigorous, accountable structure. Otherwise, it's kind of like come and go, and they're not as available, and because you might be bothered or whatnot, right? So.
Sure, right. So starting Seattle mentoring and networking, that's the question that, you know, when I was younger, as we all were, basically wanted to figure out, right? How do I get a mentor? And really, there's, to me, I mean, I can honestly like give you, like, we could be sitting for, you know, like a couple of days here on how to attract a mentor. But I would say it's kind of the same philosophy of how do you attract co-founders? How do you attract someone, right? So what I'm trying to always do in my business is try to put myself in the other person's shoes, right? So the question becomes, who do you want to, who would you want to mentor, and what would you want to see from them, right? You want to see progress, right? You want to see, you know, people who are helping the community, good people you believe in. You want to see someone you see yourself in, right? You know, and the biggest reward for mentoring people, you know, is seeing that payoff, right? Which is the progress element of it. So all the mentors that I've ever had, I've done both cold outreach and throwing events, and they all work, right? You know, I have a friend who like has like two really financially, like 2 billionaires as his network, and he cold emails them, right? Like he got like, you know, like one of the guys at like Google Ventures, you know, really high up there to speak at his podcast because he provided value to them, right? And then now that you started the combo, you can then, you don't ask them to mentor you. You basically kind of it's like you listen to their advice and then you come back later. You're like, oh, when's another good time to reach out? You know, and then a month, and then you know it's like when's another good time to reach out? You know, I actually had the CEO of Moz. You know, when I was 21, I asked her to be my mentor,